Hip Hop International with Buddha Stretch. How you doing today?
I'm good. Hip Hop International, first time here. One of the judges, having a good time, learning a lot, and look forward to teaching class tomorrow, educate some folks on what hip hop as a culture and the dance is, and just happy to be here.
Okay. Tell us about some of your beginnings of where you started at, how you got into dancing hip hop.
Okay, so when I was a kid growing up, there was a TV show called Soul Train. And when I was a youngster, I didn't watch much Soul Train, but my family did. And when you're a kid, you see everybody watching something, you run in, you watch. I'm seeing them dance. I do a little imitation dance, and then I break out. And as I got older, my grandmother, God bless the dead, just passed away. I love her to death. She used to watch Carol Burnett and Shields and Yarnell. And of course, if she watched it, she controlled the TV. It's her house. We had to watch it. So I grew up watching Carol Burnett, Shields and Yarnell, and imitating, Robert Shields and doing a robot. But not really into dance until I got, I went to a family function called a block party where they, block off the street and everybody comes out and cooks and you get to know your neighbors and you party. And so at this particular block party, I had a cousin from the South who came and, they were playing music and these guys were popping. And I was like, oh, that's the dance from Soul Train. I recognized it, like, oh, that's what I saw on Soul Train. And so out of nowhere, my cousin jumps in the circle and he's popping. He's got the float, and he has a cigarette trick, and he has a little wave. And I'm like, now I grew up with him. He's, heavy set. He never danced. All of a sudden he's popping. He's doing a dance I saw on TV. And I'm like, if he could do it, come on.
So heavy set people can dance.
Exactly. So I'm like, I had to, because at that time, I used to dance all the time. And everybody in my family could dance, but, I was the one that was into it, because watching TV, I always, I could do the robot and other dances. But when I saw my cousin, it was like, damn, he's really good. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't learn that dance, and that's what got me into dancing. I started with popping and breaking. I was in a crew called Grand Floor Wizards in Flatbush, Brooklyn, and that's how I got my start. I started with that, and then from there, branched off into hip hop.
Okay. Now tell us, obviously you grew up in Brooklyn and whatnot. New York City was obviously, the Bronx,
right?
Where b-boying started. Were you able to connect with a lot of people back then? When was this? What day and age was this?
I started in '82.
Okay.
And by the time I got into the culture, everybody was into it. Mm-hmm. And the difference now, I think, as opposed to then, when you got into hip hop, you got into the culture. Yeah. I didn't just dance. Yeah. I tagged. You had to have your tag. I did graph. I learned how to DJ. I did a little MCing. You did hip hop. It wasn't you did one thing. You did a little bit of everything. You tried it because everybody was doing a little bit of everything. So, and then at that time, it was all brand new. I mean, they had just started calling it hip hop. Mm-hmm. And it was it was just a different way of being at the time. To me now, to see how many people are into the culture but don't really know the culture is amazing to me, because when we came up, it was like it wasn't this one thing. You didn't just we didn't just dance. We did a little. You did every aspect of the culture, and it's amazing to me now to see how far it's come.
Uh-huh. So basically, the culture was your life.
Yeah, I mean, it became. I originally, I never planned to dance professionally. Mm-hmm. I never planned to be into hip hop in any way, shape, or form. It just became all encompassing. And originally, I wanted to be a pilot. I planned on, flying and eventually, going from being a pilot to being an astronaut. That was my thing. I was a Trekkie. So I was like, live long and prosper. And I wanted to go where no man has gone before. So And then, you know, once I got into hip hop, that kind of like, was like, space is not the final frontier. This is it.
Hip hop is the final frontier.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, after obviously in the 80s and stuff, you had been starting getting into culture and the dance scene. How did you progress into more of a commercial, more into being professional?
Well, what happened was, you know, how we define the era is the original b-boy, we call it the Beat Street era, or, you know, because at that time it was all about breaking and popping, electric boogie, whatever.
Yeah.
And then that era basically died because of the over-commercialization. Everything became about break dancing. Right. And so when that died out, you know, we used to hang out and dance in the park and all that. And then we noticed that when we would go to the clubs, less and less people were doing it, and people were like, that's played out. So then it was like, what do you do? So what we did was, we just started dancing. We just took every dance that we knew and just started, you know, bugging out. You know, there were specific dances, you know. Also what changed was the music. You know, at one time the music was really heavy electro funk, and, you know, on really heavy on, you know, drum machines and stuff like that, and synthesizers. And then the shift came where sampling and stuff came in, and then you had the 808s with the SP12, and then eventually SP1200. The beats and the sound changed, and with that new sound came new dance to go with that sound. And we basically pioneered that dance by taking, you know, the latest dances that were out at the time and just freestyling through them, you know, combining, you know, all of those things together to create something new. Now, mind you, when we were doing that, we didn't know we were creating anything. We just were like, we need to dance,
you just dance,
you know, because it's like, at one point, if you went to the club and you started popping, people would look at you as crazy. So, but if I went in the club and I started dancing and then I mixed popping into what I did, then everybody's like, oh! So that's what we did, you know, and that's how hip hop came to be, you know, and that was circa 1985, 1986. And the reason why we called it hip hop, you know, because there's this discrepancy with, you know, the b-boys feel left out when you say hip hop, because b-boy is the original dance. But I like to show them that, first of all, b-boying is the original dance of hip hop, the culture. Right. But it was b-boying before they even called the culture hip hop. So why would you call it hip hop? It's called breaking or b-boy. You know, we called what we did hip hop because we only danced to hip hop music. We didn't dance. If you played Planet Rock, we didn't dance this way. We started popping. You know, we started doing a different dance. If you played, you know, what's called freestyle music, we might start doing the webo or lofting or something like that. If you played disco, you know, we would hustle. But if you played KRS-One, we started doing hip hop. If you played Eric B. and Rakim, we started doing hip hop. You know, so that's why we called it hip hop. You know, and the name, as you see, stuck.